Hello, and welcome back to the Strategy Game Butt Kicker channel. And this current campaign we're playing as Germany, taking over the world. No one pay attention, please. Now, right now, we are at a point where we have 75 cities. Some of those will probably leave us for the rogue state pretty soon, but we have 75 cities, 827 victory points, and the nearest competitor has 16 cities and 244. That number has gone down because we've actually taken some of those cities. Norway, which is number 2, the giant red bent boner to our north, declared war on us, but not actually because he planned on taking us to war. I think it was actually probably just a last act before leaving the game, and he has essentially no troops left. So we've been taking over his cities. We're getting a lot of points out of these provinces, even though I don't particularly care for just, the winding back and forth taking provinces. But anyway, we're going to get a lot of points for his provinces and his cities. We're still working on Algeria. We're having Thanksgiving. We're carving up the turkey. But we still have a few cities left to finish that off. We're still churning out troops. At this point, this particular campaign really doesn't have any challenge to it. It is very unlikely that any of the supposedly 6 other players are going to turn out to be any real threat to us. There may be some other players that are active, but they're so far behind us in land, resources, military, everything else that they would have to spend massive amounts of money to ever be, a danger. So that's why, we're not going to really be spending a whole lot of time looking at this game anymore because there's really not much. I would come back every day and say, okay, we've taken more land, and that would be about it. I do want to play out at least some more in this because, like I explained before, the victory points become gold. Gold can be useful, and although I don't buy gold, I don't buy wins in this game. Some do. That's up to them. It does keep the game going, but I don't. It is nice still to have that gold around that I have won. So there you go. This game is pretty much won. Could hit the end game and it would probably work out, but we're going to gain some more points. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to start a new game. I tried to do this last night and it didn't work. All of the games, oddly enough, that I was trying to start said that they were in day 0 rather than... all right, this is day 1, and it has 60 open slots. Those are going to fill quickly. It would say it was in day 0, and it would never load, which I had never seen it say day 0 before, and it's a problem. All right, so we have all kinds of possibilities here. Let's see if we can do Germany again, just because it's what we just did. It could be a little bit confusing, but we're going to do Germany again, and we're going to take a completely different tack. We're not going to use planes this time around. Now, I am typically, as I've said before, I'm typically a plane user, but we're not going to use planes this time around. We are going to do exactly what we did before, and jumping in and grabbing as much of this free territory as possible. But when we start building our troops, we're not going to use air. In fact, I may not build any airplanes at all, at least until later in the game, because to start with, we're going to focus on armor. I typically do not play armor. I've built some armor. I'm actually not sure I've ever built a single tank. We may build some tanks in this, but we're going to focus on using some armor against our opponents and see how we can do with that. Now, the first thing we're going to do, of course, is just like usual, we're going to take over some cities. I want to research motorized infantry. We're still going to be using that. And then I want to come over here and research combat recon vehicle. That's going to be useful. And we are probably going to do some Kanonenjagd Panzer. Holy biscuits. We'll probably be using armored fighting vehicles, which are available on after day 3, and tank destroyers. Or we may use tanks. We may use a combination. We'll see. But to start with, we're going to be doing the things that are cheap and easy to get started. And I think, let's see what this guy requires to build. I think it's only Army Base Level 1. So we're going to build Army Base Level 1s everywhere so that we can start churning those out. So Army Base Level 1. This does simplify this a little bit. We're also, of course, going to have some air defense, just in case we meet up with someone who plays like I do normally and has a lot of air defense, or a lot of airplanes, I should say. Even when I'm playing with airplanes, sometimes I build lots of air defense if I meet up with another player who is also using airplanes. So, yep, just making army bases everywhere. Then we're going to start working on some arms industries. Now, I assume these guys. I'm pretty sure these guys require arms industry level 1. So Army Base 2, Arms Industry 1 for a tank killer, for armored fighting. Army 2 and Arms Industry 1. So yeah, that'll be easy for us. We don't have to build up like the main battle tank. I think it requires an Army. No, it only requires Army 2. So we may do some tanks too. Tanks punch pretty hard in both directions, toward infantry and toward other armor. So we may do that. And we also want mobile air. That's probably not quite so important now. The other troops that we're doing do use mobile air, but we're going to do some mobile air, some artillery. But right now, we're going to work on churning out our other little friends. All right, so I'm going to do a couple of basic infantry. Couple of recon vehicles, which will give us a little bit more punch. Oh, we haven't researched it yet. Oh, we're still working on it. Okay. How long does that take? Okay, so that takes 20 minutes. So we will do a couple of those when they're finished researching. So I'm going to do 3 infantry, and now I'm going to go through and see how many arms industries I can build, because we're going to need those too. And after I've done that, there's not going to be a lot to do. If you want a little bit more basic information, I go into a little bit more in the first with the first series. So you can go back and check that out. Not secret weapons, army base, or arms industry. And I think we're actually going to get an arms industry everywhere, aren't we? Yay. All right. Now we can go back later and build Army Base Level 2. We can start, we're going to build some combat recon before that. And by the time we get around to attacking our neighbors, we're going to have a few more troops. We're going to talk about some strategy for using ground troops. We've already talked a little bit about that as the game goes forward. But I hope you'll stick around. If you like to play Conflict of Nations, we're going to be working, as this game progresses, on a number of different strategies. We're going to do, this time, an armor-based strategy. And we will do, in the future, an artillery-based strategy. So we're going to have a lot of fun with all of those, and I hope to see you then. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and come back and check for other strategies and other videos, and Look forward to seeing you then.